Another question? Yes?
Oh, okay, thank you. In fact, what I have heard so far is the issue of airways and so on and so forth. It's unfortunate I was a bit late. But my question revolves around the issue of land reform. You know, land reform we had, I think, between 2000 and 2002, and even earlier. So I don't know what is the position with regard to land reform. And this is about human settlements. Do you say that land reform is helped us, or there is something that has to be done around land reform, or maybe your views just around that, especially for people in the resettled areas, vis-a-vis others who are still overcrowded in the reserves, in what the Smith regime called reserves.
Okay, I think we have about 3 questions. So, Attila, I'm sure you can address the one that you asked on the way forward and where we stand. Then, Honorable Kumar, we can take another one.
Thank you for the question. So truly, yes, we have the snake in the house, and we've been grappling with it for quite a long time. And we in the process have done a lot of things, and amongst them is litigation. We've approached the courts. We have cases that we have sent to the courts. We have the issues of people in Manzo Farm that have been affected by these evictions and also demolitions. We also have people that are in Chilonga that have been affected by these demolitions. So yes, litigation takes quite a long time, but this is where we are going in terms for a realignment of laws with the laws and the constitution. We have the Rural District Councils Act. It also is what it says in regards to land, and we have what our legal tenets that guides and protect citizens that are enshrined in the constitution, but these do not align with the constitution. And yes, through the litigation process that we continuously do, we have the hope that these will be aligned with the constitution. And also we continue to engage, and also through the help of the media. Now that we are here, we understand the power of the media, and through your engagement and also putting it out to the public will actually create momentum for us and raise critical conscience of people that have been affected by this, that have not been able to come out to the limelight. Yes, there's been the presidential title deeds and settlements program, but it has only so far been awarded to 265, and already we have thousands of people that have been affected, and these have been undocumented. So this is a call that I'm also putting to you, in as much as we are also putting efforts in order for this to be aligned, to say what is it that we can do. Yes, we are also in the process of the litigation, but what is it the media that can also do to put it out in the public, such that we do away with the snake that is in the house.
Also I can add to that one. Also in Epworth, there's now a case which was brought through the courts, and the residents affected in that case. So even local authorities admitted some of these problems which are of regularizations. And also the consultant, there was a consultant who was brought in by the ministry to audit and also to come up with a master plan. He also realized the inconsistencies and the irregularities of the laws on the legalization policy. And also on that, council, after admitting, they say that they are now applying to government for an alternative farm adjacent to Epworth, so that they can also settle those people, reallocate those people who have been affected.
Thank you. I will first tackle the issue around the land reform program. And thank you so much, Mr. Mzengi, for asking that question. In terms of our comment around the land reform program, the land reform program, as it started back then, we were told that its major purpose was that of addressing the colonial imbalances in terms of the land distribution, in terms of land distribution in Zimbabwe. So this redistribution exercise was meant solely to address such inequalities that existed before 1980. So the first question that we need to ask is, has it addressed those inequalities or imbalances? Surely we have realized that the nature and manner in which the land reform program was done in Zimbabwe, it was done in a haphazard manner without a clear implementation plan. And those who were in charge of this program were on the political side, and they were motivated by political gains and not addressing the clear imbalances that were there. So we are worried that post 2017, after the coming in of the so-called Second Republic, we have actually witnessed some form of reversing of the gains, the small gains that had been realized through the land reform program. We have witnessed some former white landowners that used to occupy vast areas of land. They've been brought back again. In some instances, some rich and politically connected people who didn't have land back then have been brought on the ground, pushed away the ordinary beneficiaries without money and political connection. They've been pushed away to accommodate those that are rich and politically connected. So, to speak in short, the land reform program has failed in terms of addressing what was earmarked to achieve in the first place. And it has actually, in fact, caused more of internal displacements and forced evictions. If we are to speak the land reform program, we have witnessed people who thought they had benefited, they had done some improvement on their pieces of land. Come a time, they are then resettled again without any form of compensation for the improvements and the development that they would have done on their pieces of land. Then on the issue of land barons, usually local authorities operate on the basis of a housing waiting list. If we are to report to Remembrance or any seat of Harare offices right now in search of a residential stand, we'll be told that they do not have land. If we are to go right now, the answer that we will get is they don't have land for residential expansion. But when you then phone a certain councillor or a certain employee, usually those that are on the top floor of management within the city of Harare, then you will be referred to someone else. And by end of day, if you have your money with you, you will be an owner of a residential stand in Harare. So this shows the influence or the impact of land barons within our local authorities. Usually these are politically connected and very rich persons who work hand in glove with elected councillors and senior employees within the local authorities. Then in terms of what steps, we are happy that the first step, or one of the steps, the launch of the Community Land Protection Guide on its own is a step that we have taken together with our partners here in terms of what interventions can we do as civil society. But on our own, we are a bit handicapped because the amount of work to be done in this area is too huge. So we need to involve other stakeholders, including the media, to inform, to educate the people, to conscientize the people in terms of what are the steps that they have to do before they occupy or buy a piece of land. Where should they go to when they want to get a piece of land? Should they approach the land barons or should they approach non-offices who are given that function of issuance of land? So I'm appealing to all the stakeholders who are here, including local authorities and central government. They are also very keyword stakeholders in making sure that as we map the way forward in terms of what needs to be done, we work as a block rather than to work in silos, because this is a huge task which becomes very, very difficult to navigate in. Remember, the issue of political connection and the fact that these people are making millions of dollars out of land. They will do anything in terms of making sure that our efforts are thwarted. They will walk an extra mile in making us fail. So we need to do a lot of work and we need to join hands with others. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the responses. We've got a question. Okay, so I'm going to speculate this QR code. It has a copy of the press release. So just scan with your phone and get a copy of QR codes. Also, I think this will be the last question. Yes.
All right, so I just wanted to know if there were any efforts to engage with the relevant governmental departments or authorities to ensure that this tenure issue is actually resolved. Because it's one thing to issue a statement, it's another to actually be actively engaging with these authorities. And also the guide that you say is available, I think we're going to maybe have follow-up question, but how much influence will it have on these land barons and councillors already there who are doing the things that you've already said? And lastly, we have the issue of the Zimbabwean Corruption Commission. We've had a lot of people going before the commission, others are in before the courts, but there's not enough evidence, to convict them and to actually cause for, a change or transformation within that sector. We have this lady talking about being removed from their premises, so already they are affected. There are people who, like her, have nothing up to date because of the displacements that have happened. What other measures are you taking to facilitate for those who are already within the challenges and those who are facing a similar circumstance? Thank you.
Here's another question. Yes. Any more questions? One last question.
I think she asked the question. Mine was on are there any collaborations or partnerships that you guys have with the government, especially in the municipal housing and social amenities, like you guys did before when you launched your research report on land displacement? If there's any government involvement in this taking of action against human displacement and stealing of land.
Thank you so much for the questions. I'm sure you can address that one. And then you can also address the other one.
Okay.
Thank you, Yvonne, for the question around involvement of authorities, both the local and the central government. We take local authorities and central government as very crucial stakeholders in this matter. While we accept that they are partly some of the causes. They are also part of the solution to this. We cannot ignore them. So we have always involved government, and it's unfortunate to say when we are a bit far from elections, the trend has been we'll be working together well with the government, and the government will be willing to address most of the challenges within the land governance sector. But when we draw closer to general elections, usually the trend is government then engages into an electoral mood, and they then start causing the same problems. So usually the trend has been, after elections, there is a vast of displacements, forced evictions, and so forth. Then it calms down because they would have created, usually they do these forced evictions and displacements to create pockets of land, especially in urban areas where there is no more land for residential and commercial expansion. So the demolitions primarily are done to create pockets of land such that when we draw closer to general elections, they use those pockets of land to promise what? The electorate, that they will give them land, they will issue out paperwork for they will regularize. They used to use the term, they will regularize the informal settlements. Then post 2017, they even went a gear up now. They are now issuing title deeds. Imagine these title deeds are being issued to informal settlements where there is no road, there are no schools, there are no clinics, and the other ancillary facilities. So you then wonder to say, if a planned settlement in Chitungwiza, say St. Mary's, for example, they have gone for years without title deeds. Then because of the connection between our politics and land allocation issues, informal or unplanned settlements in Epworth are given, are issued title deeds by the office of the president. Then you start to smell a rat. You start to wonder whether these are genuine interventions that are meant to empower the communities, or they are simply mechanisms or designs that are put in place to harvest cheap votes from unsuspecting members of the electorate. Thank you. I think my colleagues will add on to that.
Okay. On engagement, it's an ongoing thing. Initially, yes, we get in touch with government departments like the local authority, Minister of Local Government, and other related government departments. And some of the measures which has been put in place, we agreed because of this conflict which was ongoing in Epworth, which even also involved the indulgence of the president to come to try to address this land conflicts. We come up with what we call a stakeholders engagement forum, where we discuss only issues to do with the land conflicts in Epworth. Yes, of course, the government also, through our lobby, local body is now coming up with a master plan, which was not there. Through also our lobby, local body is now come up with a strategic plan where we also give our inputs. So I can say some of this have been resolved. It's work in progress. Because of our lobby, we now have an environment manager who is also cater for issues to do with wetlands, managing wetlands and the related issues. We now have a town planner. As of this year, we now having what is called the town planner with a new department of town planning. So through our engagement in the lobby, I think some of these things is now coming up, but I can say engagement is just an ongoing thing.
Thank you. So yes, I want to respond to the question on collaboration and partnerships. By actually having this press statement indicates that we have collaboration and partnerships, and this is something that we as an institution, we want to extend and grow and even move to engage with government departments. Yes, we are also in contact with various government departments that have also facilitated the work that we do in communities. For instance, the research that was mentioned by my fellow lady here, that we launched a research report on internally displaced persons. This was also a research that we launched with government officials from the Ministry of Home Affairs and also Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, just in a case of Chilonga, where we wanted to deliberate or just get a concrete research with evidence. What are they really internally displaced persons in Chilonga, and what are the causes for their displacements, or are there any arrangements in terms of them being reallocated? So these are the steps that we are taking as an institution, in as much as we present cases to our leadership. There are issues that they also get back to us in terms of, is there actually those cases that are happening on the ground? We have an issue in Epworth, so it is also upon us as CARS to facilitate documentation of these cases, one, and also continuously engage our leadership in terms of the way forward, and also facilitate the realignment of laws, because it also then comes back to the realignment of laws. Our laws representing the voices of the people that are in communities. Yes, the Constitution might say this, but our local authorities are also guided by laws that govern their borders. So that disconnect is what is drawing the work that we are doing down. But we are making strenuous efforts to ensure that the snake in the house is addressed, and also by at least by the Common Vision 2030, that will be able to move somewhere in terms of the realignment of laws, and also facilitate that those that have been displaced and affected by demolitions get help, because at the end of the day, they are not getting any help. They are saying they are now paying rentals after they had their home in which they were not attracting any rent. What does it mean to any ordinary person that has never had access to this platform? Are they even paying rent? Where are they staying? So those issues really need to be addressed, and we are engaging all the necessary bodies to ensure that this is dealt with, and through this collaboration, we are heading towards a future where we want communities also relate to their issues by issuing the Community Land Protection Guide that we have. It provides all the existing laws, and actually also shares what they can do in terms of steps when they are affected with these cases in their communities. It's a guiding framework that actually shows the existing laws, the loopholes, and what they can also do such that they can self-help in our absence. Yes, we are civil society organizations, but there is also a level that we can get to, and our hands are tied. But if communities actually know what they want in terms of the contents of the Constitution, they are able to follow through the steps and actually get their voices heard.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, very last question.
Okay, thank you. As an institution, we know where we are now to educate the general public. Several people are looking at that cost to be made. I'm telling you, buying state land is illegal. And we have got the current situation in Uganda. It's just about the people crack with the tax from demolitions, when the infect know, the media have done a lot. But I've done several stories on subroutines because they are illegal. But the moment someone can do anything to show when they know in the media we're doing our best, but even the the general public when they were taking that lane. And there is some guys who get money. It's a quarry mine. And the villagers money were taking out when illegal settlements actually. They're now raising complaints because they were given time. The demolitions are coming. And they were told that there's no compensation because you're like squatters. This is state land, you know how you acquire it, and when you actually know. And if you go to the traditional court, Chief Chinamora, every Sunday in his court, minimum issues, everyone will take a land. The only thing he tells you is you are going to take a land, or take a state land, in Udamumbi, that's it. Then this person Agurambaka settle by. So when regularization comes in, maybe 10 years later to come, and they can plan proper planning. The demolitions can have could a legal proper setup, settlement in proper. Then the general public will take up check of it. So if you as an institution before a negative blame at both sides, I think these guys need to be educated. Because I don't think about this it's illegal. Especially if this is happening in Mombeshora. Thank you.
All right. Mazita, let me also try to then respond with the language that has been presented to me. Nyaya yema evictions and demolitions ihombe. And says from what you are saying, kuti machief varikuda kuripwa nemombe. After varipwa nemombe, nyaya yacho haina kwayaenda. Ukango munhu anokwanisa kutenga stand atadze kuripa, atadze kutenga mombe. Because mombe yakachipa kudarika stand. So that means people can kukurudzira mukusaziva. Nekuencourage mukusaziva kuti ndinogona ngotenga stand and then ndoita zvangu ndoripa nemombe hapana chakaipa ndawana pekugara. Asi this tiri kurera chirwere chichazo kuwadza mangwana. And hatisi kungokuwadza vari padhuze. It's actually affecting the future generations ahead of us. And yes, pane basa hombe because it's not only in Mombeshora. There's Epworth, there's Caledonia, there's Chilonga, there's Chingwizi, there's Mantofa, a whole lot of areas vaka affect one izvizvi. And izvo zvizi zvinokonzerwa pakuti mitemo yedu chief vari kuita basa ravo because ndo zviri mujurisdiction rebasa ravo vanokwanisa kuita izvo zvekupa vanhu minda vemunharaunda yavo. But tobva tazodzoka kuti the local authority zvakare ino basa oraro rinopawo land according to mitemo yayo. Tobva tadzoka constitution yobva yati munhu wese ane right to shelter, munhu wese ane right to safety. Vese vari kupinzwa in the bracket of safety. Vozodzoka zvekare vachitiwo varoda kudemolisha because pane ma-social services nema-social amenities asina kugadzirwa zvakanaka. Saka tiri kungoramba tichingotenderera tichinyenyeredza mhuka ichazotikuwadza mangwana. Saka isusu ibasa redu, like we have launched the land community protection guide. Kuda kubatsiridza ma-communities, we are going to distribute copies of it online, offline, and then we are going to also present summaries of it. We are also going to proceed to do my community engagement chayo. Now that we have an issue of Mombeshora, unoda kumbosvikwa kuMombeshora with our tichaona kuti tosvika sei kuMombeshora through my recommendations that tinenge taona with this engagement. Zvakare tichange tichito even radio programs chayo where we engage community members and also my partners atinawo panapa to also share what communities must do in terms of proper referral pathway, in terms of what to do when they are affected in the cases.